to
Ah.
Post Malone, sing Nirvana.
Alright, we're gonna
It's so good, I
stream
like to
another
listen
game.
to it often.
Thank you guys hear it.
How dare you play uh Ace Attorney?
Alrighty.
Hmm.
The 23rd, October, 2 p.m.,
Where today,
41
Rocco?
p.m. Oh,
Whoops, that hurt.
never heard of
Oh,
legal consultancy.
I'm going Lego
This is
Land
the.
tomorrow.
Oh, this roommate's been too long. It hasn't been changed since the slightest, though. It's been some 6 months, hasn't it? It's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return. I wanted everything to be just as you left it. It's been some 6 months, it's true.
Wow.
Okay, did I change the game though? Hold on. The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles.
How much is it?
£6.
How big?
70 centilitre,
Alright.
which is
My father?
700 milliliter.
Yes, Professor Ikitoba. I mean, it was half a year ago. That's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason.
They'll be full of regrets tomorrow.
That's right. I
Regrets.
can't do her voice. It's too high. Okay, so I think they... No. Search by
Alright,
typing Holy Bible without
Yeah.
the...
Reasons to get a chameleon. They grab anything you give them. It's just this thing full of Lego swords and Lego
category
axes and
though.
stuff.
Let me check. Read and learn. Read and learn Bible? Is it a game though? Read and learn Bible. It's a book. Something. I don't know. Alright. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, and that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. International Forensic? That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Anyway, I arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here right now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my purpose to you, Iris. Must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course, I shall. And there's other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention about, about Kazuma. Kazuma's our best friend. I know, I tell you all that I can. Okay. Exposition time. When I first arrived in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Otto's mood changed entirely. Awful trial? Oh yeah, the murder of Giselle Brett. Oh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Yeah, since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Oh, amazing. I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Ruma? I suppose so. I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe. I don't think any mustache would hide the fact that you're 10 years old, Iris. But there's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mr. Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Miyatoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it had something to do with the convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? That's right. The very large dog collar we found in the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in prison. I understand that when the father saw the report, he turned as white as his sheet. Would that be that?
You know what I don't hear about much anymore?
Father came from Britain, of course, to study. It was some time now. He stayed for 6 years. I could only imagine that something must have happened during that time. I'm gonna have to mute the notifications on my phone. But if he refuses to tell me what that was, I intend to find the answers for myself. Yet I decided that, for one, I won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie!
No, they got tossed out of every, like, internet.
That's a very
sports event
meaningful
ever, didn't they?
look Susato-san's giving Iron Slip.
Are they out of the Olympics too?
Alright, let's look. Forensic Science Symposium. Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too.
It's,
I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Train. Occasionally.
Yes, from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. Jigoku sounds like
text my,
there's like a meaning to that. Let's look it up.
I'm sure he's not there anymore.
Jigoku.
So I think text my cousin.
Jigoku.
In like 3 months.
Jigoku means hell?
Yeah, well, so he was. I don't know where he's
Jigoku means hell.
But most recently he was in Poland.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Judge Hell.
living and working in a,
It's something of an honor,
volunteering in a,
Well, Professor Mikitoba is leading expert in forensic medicine in our country after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say? Yes, His Excellency, Judge Seishiro Jigoku.
He was the guy
You met him,
here
Mr. Naruto, last year, in Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten.
Which I think the only thing of actual substance I ever read out of that, because most of it was pretty much
Terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder. Yes, I tried to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Oh, that's Judge Jigoku. Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial. I don't think that was ever revealed, actually. If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life. Well, anyway, as father is invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain. Okay, let me... still not turning off the... there we go. Alright. Alright. He wouldn't actually arrive until next month, but... well, I can't wait. So I pleaded with him. In the end, he agreed to me going on ahead. Well, yeah, about the symposium, it seems as though Lord Strongheart was put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It was obviously very important. I believe it is. Yes, as I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. And he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he get the job as the Attorney General. The most senior position in British justice system. He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it was Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Professor Mikitoba know Lord Strongheart personally then? I wonder. Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech about all this very subject only yesterday. Interesting. This over. And this. Sergio asked the world to live early on and really didn't listen too much of it. That's trying for you. Okay, Sale Brett. Let's read about that. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongfully accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of John H. Wilson. And that's Iris's father. Giselle Brett, that's a name I won't forget as long as I live. The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services has been investigating Miss Brett. It turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist. Didn't exist? But how can that be? It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Sheen. She wasn't a visiting student either. It was a front. Front? Who on earth was she then? Miss A. Shin. Mrs. Shin? Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to Japan. It's a complete mystery. But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing that we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand. Now she's been killed. Oof. While all questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. Wow.
Hey, Kiwi.
Great so. Asian, who on earth was she?
That was fast.
Why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? About Kazuma. You're my friend's race child. The reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
Phone blind again.
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what on that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, that he'll never... That's Kazuma. Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time, but later I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama, and what did you learn? After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there. Should have been. But it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared. Kazuma's body vanished? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs of our own hometown, except Kazuma-sama isn't there. Did Professor Mikotoba know about this? Yes, it would seem he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak. I don't believe it. And what's this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Oh no. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on SS Berea was definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be? It is actually still alive? Stop it, Naruto. It's too much to bear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruto. Kazuma-sama was discovered. Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly. You're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. There's no reason why you would possibly have done such a thing. I suppose that's true, yes. Oh no, maybe? Ideally he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it because it turned out not to be true. Then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what it might do to me. Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about, after all. I probably shouldn't push it now. You see, I've been keeping my desk beautifully covered in papers as always. You really must tidy it up, Mr. Neighborhood. No more excuses.
I had ham steak
Mrs.
this morning.
Sato-san. Mrs.
Oh,
Sato, the way I see it, all these papers building up on my desk like this are a reminder that I'm wonderfully diverse daily life. I like to leave them as they are, so I never forget how lucky I am to have such varied experiences.
I think it would
In
be
that case,
too much
you
spicy.
definitely have a thorough tidy. And you'll be able to see your papers building up all over again if you let Joe renew it. Still can't beat her in an argument, even though I'm the lawyer here. This. Okay. Let's read it. I see your diary still has one eye filled in. We agreed that it's something we do together, Timothy. We can do it right now if you like. I'd be happy with that. I'd rather like the anticipation, I think, Mr. Narrator. Ah, okay. Oh, Iris, hello. What's up, Iris? It's been about a year now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. We call it the Hound of the Baskervilles. Okay, move up my microphone. Hello? I don't know. But then Mr. Schultz forbade you in publishing it. And with the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on. Yeah. So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? It sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles, I would love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me. How'd you come to know it? Yes, but I made you promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Dun dun dun. I'm only sorry I kept it for me so long, Iris. This is a plot twist, I think. It was completely by accident I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There's a label affixed to the box that was written in English and it read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. What? A Baskervilles story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Sato, what are you doing? Father? Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. We'll put it out of your mind. Sorry? Get that you ever saw it. Certainly don't tell anyone else about this. You understand? How mysterious. What was Iris' manuscript doing in Japan? I heard that Iris mentioned the word Baskerville that day. The title just slipped out. I never guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholm's exploits. Then I returned to Japan and asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions. Hold on. Chat setting. Channel points. Where's the show delete? There we go. Alright, back. And there's no sign of the box office. His office. That's really all I know about it. No doubt that father was a good reason for being so secretive, but I made up my mind to explain to myself, to both of you. Well, thank you for being honest, Susie. Aww. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about this case to memory. Let's see. Isis told me about the disturbing happenings of the Wax Museum as well. So you're fully abreast in the situation already, Mrs. Sato. Expected nothing less, to be honest. I wonder if our first port of call would be to investigate this Mr. Drover, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this ordinary trick. Yeah, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic. Then we need to go and arrest him. Yeah, he must know the truth behind this case, so we must really do need to find him. It sounds like just this case is I don't know. It's a case of tracking someone down. It's his job for the police, or a great detective. Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of, Mr. Sholmes? You don't have much time, so we need to get started right away, I think. Good idea. Well, best of luck then. You're not coming today? I'm getting to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. Let me know later how you got on, won't you? Okay. That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. You know, honestly thought I might never have the opportunity to return to Great Britain. Certainly not so soon. It's funny, for the past 6 months, I haven't been able to work in court. Meanwhile, you've been raising a storm in the Supreme Court of the Judicature back in Japan. Please, Mr. Naruhodo, I may have never addressed the man, but it was a very reserved performance. Is what your father said in his letter about a Ryutaro takedown is reserved? Well, anyway, I'm back here with the great capital now, and I'm ready to assist you again, in any way that I can. Thanks, Miss Susato. It's my pleasure, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright, I guess we're moving. Oh, there's so many places. I'm gonna be exhausted just looking through it all. Well, let's talk to Mr. Sholmes first. 23rd October, Sholmes Suite. Examine? No one there. No one here. Maybe we move. Okay. Take a look at this. Ooh, this person that we don't know. British Supreme Court Lord Chief Justice Office. Who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart? I wonder. I've never seen her before. The young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. You've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Yeah, you mean because of Professor Harebrain's experiment? Sham science is being demonstrated at Langdon's great exhibition? The country's been made to look foolish, and now politicians are scrambling to respond. Lord Finzex is in the Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Hold on, let me see if I could change this to 1080p or whatever. See what happens. Happens. Okay, let's see if OBS is too big. Transform. Fit to screen. Go swoop. Whoop. Okay. See if I could show the PC audio as well. Reverend Sykes is in the White Hall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. The special system station that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation unit will move in and deal with the scrap metal in no time. Scrap metal now, is it? Till later then, Lord Strongheart. Yes, thank you. Mysterious woman! Who was that? That was Dr. Courtney Scythe, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team handling of this case. She's just delivered her report about the victim and... Oh, I see. Mr. Asman. Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you that she concluded. If you want to know, ask her directly. Did I unmute or something? You can find her in the forensics laboratory. Alright, okay. Now, were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. Ah, he's not running quite spectacularly late anymore. Fair enough. The fit. The forensic investigation team, what you mentioned before? The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago and now unofficially, of course, to pave the way. Goodness, a year ago?
And next month's symposium I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. Once that happens, the position of the Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly.
What do you mean?
For too long, these scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. London scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell.
That's what Jigoku is.
I intend to see it personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known to protect our honor and our future.
Look at those eyes. He means every word.
Dr. Scythe is extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensics division in Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoba.
Yes, my lord. Father should be on the high seat.
Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan.
Yes, that's right. I understand. He will arrive at the beginning of next month. Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart?
With Professor Mikotoba, I mean? It was many years ago, but yes. I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well.
Okay.
If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Japan as a visiting student.
It was a year ago I was born, so yes, 16 years ago in fact.
Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic science and Jigoku accompanied him as a young promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed me just greatly. Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part, anyway. I didn't think you were. Dr. Mikitoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals, St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Scythe was also there then, as it happens. Then Dr. Scythe knows my father, does he? She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly, but I have no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikitoba was there studying the subject for some 6 years in total. 6 years? That was a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it? I lived with my grandmother in those years, so he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years? It was a rather turbulent time at home. Perhaps his father wanted a reason to get away. What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Hey, Von Zykes, the Reaper. I wanted to ask you about Lord Von Zykes, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as Professor? Targeted nobles and royalty, is that right? You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Oh, yes. You could say that was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper. Why? Why? When his brother Clint Van Zykes was murdered, it was just after young Barrick had graduated the University of London to become a prosecutor. Those obvious criminals who managed to evade the conviction court started disappearing. Rumors were quickly spreading throughout the capital. Londoners were trying to say wherever Barrick Von Zykes went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Van Zykes isn't the Reaper? It's the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles. It's awkward, strong. Go ahead. It's about Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. We'd like to hear your permission to examine the remains if possible. Are you well versed in science then? Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say barely aware of the subject until recently. Well, the special dispensation legally prevented investigation of the machine is being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Scythe's team of the forensic experts will begin their own investigation, but I suppose until then, there is no harm in you looking in the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing.
Yeah, it's okay. And now I'm gonna offend you again, because I'm gonna go.
Thank you. Oh, thanks. Alright. I'll be able to see it too. I hope so.
Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls.
Like a reduced barbecue sauce?
Oh.
I don't know even what that means, but
Extremely sorry for troubling you.
It smelled.
I have important matters to attend and to preparation for the symposium, you understand?
It wasn't
Okay.
bad. Like, something was wrong with my stomach at the time. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not nearly
Right.
as bad
Are you
now,
going to prison yet?
but at the time.
Okay. I guess we're still technically helping him get a not guilty, so.
I'm
What's he
guessing
doing?
It was probably the vinegar.
Oh my, the whole wall of Sal's fault.
Who
But
knows?
man,
Stomach to turn
he's
like
writing more.
It was a vinegar paste.
Professor, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So she's reducing it and it's evaporating the vinegar.
Maybe
Mr. Naruhodo,
So it makes it nice.
who's this lady?
Yeah, it wasn't agreeing with me, so I'm gonna
Her
go
name's
to
Sato
McDonald's.
Mikitoba, Mr. Naruhodo's judicial
I'll
assistant.
put it up. He's like, I'll eat it later.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner. None of this would have happened.
Okay. So
No, that's not logical. That makes no sense at all.
found the gate.
Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. I owe you an apology too, Crusher.
I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning.
Well, we can
Oh, no. The whole miserable affair, it's all happened. Because I've been such a utter, complete clot. Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell? You mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I suddenly struck with an idea, you see. I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had in hand. Is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass your super high voltage instantaneous kinesis? Maybe? No, actually, that's my autobiography. Your autobiography? How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain. I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers in an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really? I'm gonna have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. It's going to have a new serial publication next month. Part 1, an odd birth and an odd upbringing. You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. See, well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case? Yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled. I was fiddled. By the pair of them. By Yasmin. By that aloof engineer, Drebber. We're not gonna have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? Everything I believed in, it's been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Osmond, the kinesis machine, the hypothesis, even... I'm sorry to come to this, there is no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public. Right. No, of course you didn't. But in court this morning, I realized something. Oh? If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you were aware of it or not. That's actually a very interesting statement because that's how it works in the scriptures, that you can't really, in fact, you can't really claim that you've done nothing wrong nor that you didn't know, because God, he makes himself known even in the invisible things. So in the law, even if you didn't know it, you can't feign ignorance, unfortunately. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me. I'm gonna put a mark on that.
It's lunchtime, baby.
Wait. Where's my... Oh,
Only like 30 minutes.
Let's see. Dun, dun, dun.
Well,
Exclamation mark marker. Exclamation marker.
well, not going to that realm fair anymore.
Guilt.
Oh, hang on. Yeah, I see you down there.
Alright. Back to the show.
Down there.
Hey, Professor.
That way.
He believed me this morning, you know? Barrett did. He believed in my hypothesis.
Cross.
Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No, Barrett wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it. Did he? I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution of my trial, I mean.
Let's see if we can...
After the terrible incident happened, nobody would believe my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not me, any lawyers even. I feel like I dealt with some kind of finishing blow there. So, if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barrick,
I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense. And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly. That would have been such a fate worse than death for me. Barry insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish. Do you think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that's part of the analysis appeared to have some flaws in it. What about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? I mean, you met him before the brother died, so... Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start? I'm sorry to say that does seem very likely. When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused and was so empathic, but in reality, he was just the mastermind of some... But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems. I still can't believe it. The machine essentially was a set decoration for some stage magic. It probably didn't require a large amount of investment actually, but the scale of it wasn't just some small trick, it was a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on large, barely legal part-time work just to try to earn a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that only to be taken for a complete fool, it was too rotten to believe. It is, I agree. That's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asmund no more, of course, which leaves the only engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber. Is he an engineer, a magician, or a swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Asmund first brought Mr. Drebber to meet me at my library. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine, but at no point did he have any inkling that he was just an illusionist. No, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that man was a genuine scientist. It instantly apparent in conversation. I see. But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. Unforgivable. We must do everything we can find to bring him to justice. There don't clues you could give us to his whereabouts. I'm sorry, we only ever discussed the kinesis machine, nothing else. Although, just once. I did visit his workshop. What workshop? Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory where they construct my great machine. Ooh. Why didn't you mention this before? Ooh, that's a big deal. Alright, let's hear it. So you've been to Drebber's place of work then? Just once, you understand? It was an enormous place, plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. The guess chance we'll find Mr. Drebber there. Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure. I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where his workshop is at all. I'm sorry. I was half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in a carriage the entire way there. Blindfolded you? I wasn't taking any chances then. The place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossibly obtained in Britain. Indescribable scent of the imported oil. Perfumers across the world would forget their secret formula and use that instead. What do you think, Mr. Sato? Owe the machine for your next birthday? I never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruto. I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card from Mr. Draper, for example? I was clearly cautious, Miss Susato, I'm sure. Yeah! I do. He gave me his business card once, right here. Look. We see that. From etiquette to the wind, why don't you? Enoch Draper, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address. Well, I can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. Alright. So we have Draper's, signature, I suppose? Perhaps? Okay. His E is very unique. It's like a something. Ooh, there are smudges. This dark smudge here, I think perhaps it's machine oil. Possibly. Professor Hairbrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Draper uses, didn't he? He said especially imported from very high quality oil impossible to obtain in Britain. That's right, but more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. Just give me a moment. It doesn't appear to have any scent at all. Don't worry. I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on there. Okay, we got a smear of oil. That's something we can start with. Okay, I guess we're gonna move. So left. Gonna look at the machine again. Okay, 23rd October. The Great Exhibition grounds foot of the Crystal Tower. Okay. Oh, it's a doggy. So cute. I had no idea there were so many people in the world. I know what you mean. It's really packed in here today. It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point. That's it. I shut my brain down, so I didn't really notice, to be honest. I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruto. There you are. I had a feeling you'll not show your mugs before long. Oh, it's Gregson. Oh, Inspector Gregson, I see you're hard at work as usual. Warm greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping well since we last met. What's with all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning. Not you, Sunshine, though, gentlewoman, you so loyally at your side. Why, thank you, Inspector. How good are you not to notice? He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. You probably guessed. We're hoping to investigate the scene a bit more. Right. That's what the young that's the young trainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina.
Oh, there's 2 of you.
Seems busy playing with the puppy. Probably giving a traditional East End training. Gina, she's a police officer now? Amazing, isn't it? She's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, anyway. She's got a detection bug, if you ask me. Yep, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? I'm being transferred. It's time for me to say toodaloo to London. Really? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted then? We're going to see how you've been getting along. It's not likely, but you're welcome to try. If you don't mind, a trip to France, that is. To France? I'll be working in the Paris Police Prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France, it's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there? That's the way the adults work. Sunshine, don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go. But you're taking Gina to Paris? Well, I can't leave her in London. Who knows what become of her?
I suppose he's worried she slipped back into slipping her hands into people's pockets and purses. I don't think he's worried about her. He's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruto. I think he's worried about the Uber. Of course. So that's playing on Inspector Gregson mind too, isn't it? Anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this this to Gina. Don't go blabbing, you hear me? Of course not. Gotta keep that diving diva safe and sound till all this is over at least. Wait, did you call me a bloomin' diving diva again? So you heard that, did ya? Right, well, any questions about the scene? You can put them to my capable detective diva here. Alright, you heard the boss. Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now. I suppose I better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, you got a new dog, have you? Aww, isn't he great? Toby's his name. How delightful, he's absolutely adorable.
Gotcha.
This dog does seem lovely, but it's not so lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. Alright, let's have a chat.
Where's my health? My health is finally enlarged.
Gina, we're actually hoping we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, it's alright. It's around here. What can you do? You can do what you like. That's alright, is it? I'm gonna be playing with your little friend here. Toby. The machine that exploded must be at the top of the stairs, I presume? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh? It's like I told Oda yesterday, even I ain't allowed to be near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it? The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Is that what you're thinking of? That's the one. That's the only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What's your name called? The Forensic something? Forensic Investigation Team? Is that what you were thinking of? That's the one, yeah. But isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with ya. You're supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something? I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps? That's the one, yeah. Apparently, he's always watching the time or something. Actually, you've just recently seen Lord Strongheart. You what? You've met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him, he waited for 3 hours at the Cove's office and came back sniffling. Tragic. Well, Lord Strongheart's here and has permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing. Oh, nothing. Yeah? Honestly? Alright, then go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'd be the boss who gets it. Never eat another chip again in his life. So, you're still saying this is above board, are ya? I'm sure everything will be fine. That really would be tragic. Alright then, them's the stairs, off you go. Thank you, Gina. Alright, let's go up. It was great, we're in. I had that right, left, the new one on me. That, you know, being in court and not spending the whole time worrying I'm about to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and Oda made things hard for me every single time and all. Just doing my job, Gina. Watching someone else get it in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that Dodgy Professor's dodgy experience was a total fix. The Dodgy Professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruto's client. I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though. It's the boss I feel sorry for, sent off to do the impossible. What do you mean?
He's supposed to arrest the other cove, ain't he? And in time for tomorrow and all.
You know the dodgy engineer, what's his name again? Dr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber?
That's the one, yeah.
So the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be.
It's putting too much on the boss if you ask me. He says it's giving him a gut ache.
Oh dear, but I do wonder if that's actually from the fried food. Alright, let's see if we got the engineer's whereabouts. So, Stallions are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber. I wonder if they had any luck. He's really funny looking. Got 2 eyes, what? Don't match. Stole a glimpse of the picture of him early. I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. The old devil's got it. Ooh? You know, that Scowling Reaper what? It's always guggling down glasses of that blood rank plunk. Ah, Lord Van Zykes. He's always at it in for me, that gold. Don't know what he's always scowling about mine. Probably would have been a pretty good boss as it goes. Rather be the Reaper's apprentice than the detective's trainee? The way I see it, is the choices between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-loving Reaper. You're equally badly off with both. I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that. Glad we put that one to bed. Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer. But there don't seem to be no clues to go on. So they're stuck. There's nothing that could lead us to Drebber at all? How about Toby? Toby smelling the gas thing, perhaps. Where'd you find that little mutt, Gina? Oi, don't be so flaming rude, Odo. Slight overreaction, don't you think? He ain't no mutt, alright. Toby's, how did they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective. Good faith detective. Sorry? I've given him a proper title and everything. Chief Inspector Toby to you. More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he? Ooh, so he's a police dog, is he? Police recruit dogs now? I heard they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. They're used for chasing criminals and such like. A wonderful sense of smell after all. I have a fairly good sense of smell myself as it happens. I can tell undergarments have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't. That's nothing compared to this little fella, Odo. Oh really? According to what the boss said, once Toby's just got a good whiff of your drawers, he could chase that scent to the other side of the world. To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim? Mr. Odo, I think you may have missed the point by rather a large margin. I just can't believe this little dog can such an incredible skill. I'm telling you, Odo, there's gotta be more dogs doing a bit of policing in the future. Yeah, I agree. Right, one of these days they'll be barking orders at us a lot, not the other way around. Oh dear, sorry Gina, I don't agree with that vision quite that much. Well anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby's your Britain's first police dog. Maybe we could present something, you know? Found him in the East End the other day, so I just checked him out on the street. There you go. I knew she'd lifted him from somewhere. Oh, Dina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals. Alright. Present, maybe? Present this. What about this, Gina? I'm still learning the letters at the moment. I only know A to E. If it ain't too much bleeding trouble. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the car that's important. How come? Well, there's a dirty old smudge in the back and that's all. It's true. Turns out this is a very high quality French machine oil. It has very particular scent apparently. You don't say. I have a whiff then.
You sure? I don't smell nothing. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Right. I mean Toby. Alright, let's get Toby a whiff. Since it smells so good, he can attract people across oceans, can't he? Alright. Professor Hairbrain informs us that this oil is unique to Drebber's workshop. I'm sniffing. Sniff, sniff, sniff. I think he's picked up a scent. So you mean, if he follows the scent to this oil, Toby could lead us to Dajiko's workshop? That's right. That's exactly what we're hoping. Alright then, give it a go. Just borrow that. What? Wait, what did you... Want to pickpocket it? I could lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop. I'll be the boss for next week. Yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted. Or poor Greg's. And Odo, leave it to me. We're gonna get going after that, Darcy. Engineer Cove's right this minute. But hang on. Somebody's supposed to be on guard duty on here all the time. I'm afraid we can't out. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. Alright. Oh well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what's getting in the neck, it'll be the boss. Poor Gregson again. So I guess she's leaving the scene. Ready, Toby? Got the oil scent have ya? Come on, boy. See you later. You hope the scent of that oil leads them to that swindler's workshop? I hope so too. Particularly before the dog swims across the channel to friends. Okay, I guess we're moving on. Madam Tusk Bells. This is the secondary investigation we're doing. 23rd October, Madam Tuskbell. Oh my. No wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Violet Confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that. I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He should be here, investigating the abduction of the Wackler. Well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Yeah, I guess so. Sheesh. Spooky. This one's posture reveals his weakness. Sorry, the killer's stance leaves him wide open to attack. I'm quite sure I could see him fall off with a Susato takedown, then a Susato squash, and finally a Susato smash. Right, that doesn't render the culprit unconscious. Susato slam would finish him off. A Susato slam? Sheesh. I'm sorry, it's rather hard to explain. Leave yourself open slightly and I'll demonstrate. Absolutely not. That odd policeman isn't here now, obviously. Still can't believe he just happened to be on Durin, though. I just that London had a population of 6 million people, and yet you do seem to run into the same people disproportionately often, don't you? But yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's gonna be terrifying, don't you? The sign says it's Madame Tuskbell's special exhibit. Seems to have you have to pay extra to go inside. You know, I know. Can you believe that? Pay more money as if you haven't been scared enough already? It's not my own doing, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright, let's go out. Forensic Laboratory. 23rd October, Forensic Laboratory. I believe this is it. Dr. Sykes' laboratory. That chemical smell really assaults the nose, and there's plenty to assault the eyes in here, too. Looks as the doctor isn't here, but we're here now. May as well do some sightseeing, don't you think? What a seasoned tourist you'd become, Mrs. Sato. You could just have a look around, being careful to upset. Be careful not to upset any restless souls.
Nothing particular of note. Table full of sharp tools, then you consider it in isolation looks quite innocent, but so why is it when you put them side by side they look so horrifyingly disturbing? Might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. How can anyone concentrate on a bookwork with this accurate odor of chemicals in the air? You either have to be cast iron constitution or a really terrible sense of smell. Look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals. These ones are here labeled highly toxic. That's worrying because there's also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in here. They actually say salt and pepper on them. Doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room. I suppose perhaps she's meal senior sometimes? Life goes on, even when you're surrounded by death. Look at this thick book right here. It appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending. Ooh. Oh, what is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but there's one entry that seems rather strange. What way?
I'm back, baby.
Hello.
You're buying 500 scalpels every month.
Where's everybody?
100? You must be working really hard on dissecting corpse. I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances, and scalpel blades can be sharpened too. It does seem a bit strange. You're right. 100 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using them all for? Uh-oh. What are you doing? Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so you thought you'd snoop around. That's acceptable to people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want? Lord Chong has told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmon's body, I mean? So we came to ask you about your findings on Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. The Lord Chief Justice has been giving consent. I'll tell you that our investigation's revealed. But when we're done, we must leave immediately. Okay, we're chatting. Tell me what you know. So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene? Well, the victim, Odie Osmond, who had disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and Mr. Osmond, who appeared moments later partway up the crystal tower, were without question one and the same person. To the team's conclusion, but that can't be right. If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see. If two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, we could have made it appear as one single person in switched places, couldn't it? Very true, but sadly in this instance, that's not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident. Fingerprints. They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system, but one day they will be used as an investigative aid as a matter of course. Oh my, but what would that mean? That the instantaneous kinesis actually took place? Where does that leave us? My team is tasked with the investigating, not drawing conclusions. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to another. This hasn't cleared up anything at all. Made the whole thing even more of a mystery. Uh-oh, what's going on? Oh, what is this? Where did she spring from? And did you just call the doctor Mama? This is the lawyer, dear. Oh. Hello. Nice to meet you. Pleased to meet you. I'm a defense lawyer. Yunosuke Naruto. Mama. Yes? Can I cut this one up? What? I never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a living it's a live specimen, as you can well see. Yikes. Boring. That's really creepy. I think I just had a near-death experience. Oh dear, Mr. Naruto, you're as pale as a corpse. Let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Is there anything else to look at? Look at this. What a magnificent display case. Cherry wood. Western cabinet makers are really skilled, aren't they? Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Mr. Naruto? Mrs. Sato, can't you tell I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? I'll be sure to remember that from now on. Looks like an owl and a crow up there. And they haven't even twitched since we came in. Well, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts. I was afraid you were gonna say that. I'm trying very hard to tell myself they're just sleeping with their eyes open. I think perhaps you're wise to put something like your Daruma doll on display in the office instead. Alright, I think that's everything. Those large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside. I suppose they're fruit liquors or something? Like pickled umeboshi plums you make back at home? Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs in preservation liquid. Probably as examples of some rare medical condition. Mrs. Sato, there are some things in the world that it's perfectly fine never to know about. Ever. So, as I said, I'm sure they're fruit liquors or umeboshi, aren't they? Of course. Sure. Okay, let's move out of here. And I think that's everything, right? Alright, we gotta examine and move up, pretty sure. So, Crystal Tower? This Crystal Tower. I can't believe I'm seeing it in such close proximity with my own eyes. Really just been looking forward to the great exhibition, haven't you, Mr. Sato? Hold on, I might change something. Da da da. Filters, close. Blending, scale filtering. Area, I think, is the best one. You've been really looking forward to the great exhibition, haven't you, Mr. Sato? Yes. When I found out that I had to return to Japan, I'm afraid I cursed my luck. Here you are, back in London, gazing at the magnificent tower. I know, perhaps I was wrong to curse my luck so harshly. Exhibition? The stairs lead up to the experimentation stage. Let's go and see what we can find out. Oh, excuse me. The Great Exhibition Grounds Experimentation Stage. Right. Oh my, so this is the machine? That was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis had taken place. That's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's a little worse for wear at the moment. That extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went in order to obtain a research grant. I don't know, the professor was strict as well. He didn't know anything about it. Yes, of course, it's amazing though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British. You're right about that. You've never seen such a grand reception in Japan, that's for sure. Look, is that? It's Van Zykes. Or Van Zykes? So, I think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mrs. Sato? Already? He is a Reaper, remember?
We do well to keep our distance, I think. But we have permission to be here. From the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine as long as we don't touch anything. From the top? Do you mean Lord Strongheart? Exactly. So we stay here and stare at those records as long as we like. She could have been at the center of an explosion here and it wouldn't have bent her steel will. Alright, let's look around. Oh, there's this thing. The nub. What a terrible explosion must have been. Even the steel girders have been buckled and twisted in the blast. And they called the birdcage was right here in the middle of it all, just there. Look, Mr. Naruto, the metal grill on the floor. This is designed to open. It does, doesn't it? If the door had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight. I don't think there's any doubt that this very elaborate hoax is there. I think so. Okay, see the St. Peter's or whatever? Dude, all this different architecture from all over the world. It does make you feel a little bit like an explorer, doesn't it? I know it's all subjective, but the onion-shaped roofs really caught my attention personally. It is very subjective, isn't it? Japanese buildings with their wood and paper construction have excellent ventilation. I realize that British buildings being made of brick and stone are very strong and long-lasting. The more you know about how things are done in other countries, the more you understand your own, I feel. Yes, I do agree with you there, but I can't help wondering what the onion does for the roof of the building. I mean, I suppose it's playing on my mind because I don't like the taste of onions. Really odd. Let your taste in vegetables dictate your taste in roofs, Mr. Naruto. What if I could move to not, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Like that guy, let's get this rail. This was in here yesterday. Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing in before there was apparently beamed to the air. That's right, the birdcage, according to what Professor Harebrained said in court, is made of wood. And precisely Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. That's wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruto? Here's I thought a forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they finished their work. But sadly, not with the body inside it. No, that's right. I know they were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still, this is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Alright, the birdcage for the machine has been entered into the court record. Right, look at that. Either the ride on the Ferris wheel is favorite romantic outing among young London couples. I think the romance would be slightly spoiled by the abject terror personally, but and I'm not a Londoner. Are you a little scared of heights, Mr. Naruto? It's not that I'm scared, not at all. It's just staying on the ground seems so much safer. Well, perhaps I shall have to hire some Mr. Shums to accompany me on it in that case. And you put it like that, part of me just want to give it a try. Oh dear, it is complicated for you, isn't it? Alright, let's talk with, we could look upwards. Okay, let's look upwards. That horn-shaped transmitting device, isn't it amazing? That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it. It makes sense, do you think, doesn't it? If only it had just been a normal horn, nothing like this would happen. That's almost exactly what I thought as well. I bet I can predict that you're gonna say next in that case. You're about to say, nothing ever goes to plan, aren't you? No, I would never say something like that. Alright. Alright. And then, oh, we see the 3 balloons from that person. However, watch I looked at them. I can't come to terms with those Tamari hand balls floating in the sky. You've been glaring at them constantly since we came up there. Sorry, the feelings of wanting to ride in one, wanting to never set foot in one are fighting it out inside me. If you don't look where you're walking, you might fall from the stage. I don't think I noticed. That's how fiercely the battle inside me is raging. I think you should make peace with riding in one, Mr. Naruto. Really be much safer that way. Okay.
Let's talk to our Mr. Barrick Van Zykes. Least approachable man in the world, winner. 10 years in a row. Be strong, Mr. Naruto. Your country and assistant stand firm behind you. Lord Van Zykes? What? Well, beautiful weather we're having, isn't it? Oh, I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently, you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs. Oh, I read them. So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited. Well, the thing is, Lord Chief Justice granted us permission. On condition we didn't disturb anything. And yet, you managed to disturb me. Got him. Never mind, state your business then. Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zykes about. Least of which was an awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this case. Ask away, Mr. Naruto. You don't know unless you try. Alright. So, Clint. What's the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Van Zykes? You Nipponese. I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So you've been investigating me, have you? No, not like that. Alright, it's a bit like that. My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Von Zykes family, but tragically, a vicious killer took him from us. A professor, you mean? That's something funny? That's the extent of what you discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised, sorry? There's more to it then. Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it? You're too kind. Are you gonna tar all Nipponese in the same brush next? So tell me, what's your interest in the historical incident? As it happens, Lord Van Zykes, there's a rather curious case that comes to our attention. Huh? Are you aware of Madame Tespel's museum of waxwork by any chance? I am, naturally. I believe that since last month, I feature in one of the displays here. Of course, the infamous Reaper of Bailey would have been be exhibited on he. Well, a particular waxwork's been stolen from the place and held for a ransom. Particular waxwork? Which... Wait, you mean? Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak. I was unaware of that. He turned as white as his sheet. Alright, Enoch Drebber, tell me about him. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber? Surely that goes without saying. We're very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier. Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight, white hair and wears a black monocle. So I was just wondering. I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but we'd very much appreciate any more clues you could give us. Wow, Susato-san, that really knows how to take the bull by its horns. Fine, why not? I have a photograph of the man in the investigation 10 years ago. But it appears he already had a black monocle at the time. Doesn't that person remind you of somebody? Doesn't it remind you of this person? Like a male version of him? Nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us. We'll need the man's testimony in court tomorrow, which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph? What is it about Lord Van Zykes? I just can't work him out at all. Alright, let's give him a look again. Right. It's Van Zykes' study. The file I request for the trial tomorrow. Thank you. Wait. Are you alright? Who's this? Smariguda? Lord Van Zyke's apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Suzato-san can see it too. Lord Van Zykes, maybe speak with your apprentice for a moment? With him? Why? Oh, Kazuma-sama. Oh, he exposed Kazuma! Kazuma? I don't believe it! Your posture, your presence, it can only be. It's you, isn't it, Kazuma-sama? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure, as if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma? Oh. Hey! Too late. What's going on here? Oh, that's a big twist. What's your interest in my apprentice exactly? Next as if you know the man or something. Since when has he been in your care? I didn't recall you ever having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago. Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now, with instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor. But he didn't tell you why, did he? Oh, the man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself. He has amnesia? Tomorrow, he will appear in court at my side. He is to serve as my judicial assistant, Lord Strongheart's orders. He'll be in court with us? Oh, that's crazy. Now then, unless I was mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course. Oh, thanks. Definitely saw a reaction there. When Suzato called out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. When she called out Kazuma-sama. You already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruto? Yeah, yesterday, in fact, at Lord Van Zyke's office. You see. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that. Wow. Oh, Epitome! Ray, thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate it. How are you doing today? I hope you are well. A huge plot twist just happened in front of my face. Playing Fall Guys and Phoenix Wright. Yep, that's right. Today's our makeup stream, I guess. I hope you've been well. And do I see a bird trout? What's up, bird trout? Oh, in case there's any other new viewers here, I'm your USD or Andrew, and we do Bible reading, prayer, and sharing the gospel. That's our main 3 focuses, because that's the most important things that a Christian life could do, is read the scriptures and pray for each other and share the most important thing that changed our lives. And so, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And then we play some casual games, and usually they're casual with sometimes slightly mature content. Like this game is, there are some, murdering and stuff, so, viewer discretion is advised for that. Something is odd with my overlay. I don't know. What do you feel is odd about my overlay? So anyway, yeah. I hope you are well, and if you have any prayer requests, let me know. And of course, if you don't know the gospel, here you go. The gospel simply means good news, and this good news was preserved for us through the scriptures. And what we do need to know about the good news is, first, the bad news, that
we've all practiced lawlessness, and that means we're sinners. And being sinners, we have a broken relationship with God, and we'll have wrath. And the wages of sin is death. And so, God, in His infinite mercy and love, God the Father sends His Son, fully God, fully man, to earth to live a perfect life, to fulfill the law, and ultimately to fulfill the saying that the remission of sins is only through the shedding of blood, and He shed His blood on the cross, living His perfect life, so that He could take our sin, the wrath that was for us, and our death, and so that we can have a right relationship with God and have His righteousness if we trust, repent, and believe in what He has done for us. And He died on the cross, fully dead. Then on the third day, He rose again, showing that He had the power over life and death, that He is truly God, who He said He was, and He told us He is the way, the truth, and life, and no one comes to the Father except through Him. And so when we repent, which means a change of mind, to not be an enemy of God, but an enemy of sin, and to be in a right relationship with God. And when we repent, change our mind, and trust in what Jesus has done, the Holy Spirit comes, dwells with us, gives us, constantly sanctifies us, changes our hearts, and so that we'll be more and more like Jesus. And God has changed my life, and I hope that God changes you too. And if you have any questions, let me know in the chat or in the DMs. You can direct message me on Twitter, on Twitch, on Discord, wherever is necessary. Reach out. Yeah. Wait, Epitome says, never mind, totally my fault on my end. So check out the Discord, feel free. There's a lot of Discords that I'm part of. The one that I'm hanging out right now is in the Durin's Folk Discord, which is it's not just Christian only kind of thing. It's mainly a community, people who hung out to just encourage each other, and there's a large amount of people that are Christians there, but we'd love to have fellowship there with anybody. And then we have the Regenerated Discord, I believe, where we talk theology. We have AC88, which I hang around. We usually play music and chat about politics and theology. It's cool. Grace Found is a great place. We usually did Bible studies there on Thursday, but they're taking a break. My Discord and God Mode Activated. Of course, I'm a moderator there, and they are coming back, I heard, this Sunday with Pastors After Dark, and so that'd be pretty exciting as well. And we do community nights there, playing games, so feel free to join any of those, but to contact me, feel free to join my Discord. All right. I think this chapter is about to end, so I'm going to finish it. Benzak says, we're going to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive, so let's find you here. It will cause problems. What problems? Foreign affair problems. We could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way as well. Let's go. Of course. Alright. Let's put this back there. I think we've done all the investigation we can do here now. We could just determine whereabouts of Mr. Drebber. Perhaps we could find Gina. Gina has a police dog, and we showed the dog some machine oil smells, and hopefully it'll discover it. Do you think we ought to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months. Alright, so we're going to go into the Sholmes suites. Alright, I guess not in the Sholmes suite. We're going to go to Test Bells. Alright, I still knew all about his latest unusual venture. Alright, let's move. Go to Madame Test Bells. 23rd October. It's already probably... Oh, we didn't get the timestamp for that. Alright, here we are again, at the House of the Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't got used to the palace yet. I'd still like to turn my heels and go straight home. By the confectionery, of course. Susato-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she? By the way, Bertrout, if you have anything you like prayer for, I'd love to pray for you and you too, Epitome. Since you did pop in the chat, if you're still here, let me know. Eek, what's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruto, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. Oh, that's our Mr. Sholmes. Looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very, very last detail. Oh, sorry, I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself. A friend of my dedicated employee. Hi, it's Ryunosuke Naruto. I must say I'm quite spellbound by the great detective. He's a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs. You don't mean... Yes, the mystery is solved already. Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough, I guess. See, as you can see, he's returned to his habitual duties. His habitual duties? Hello? Do not disturb, eh? Poor Susato-san. She looks very perplexed. Right. Examine, I guess. I guess we technically have to bother him, so let's talk to him. We really do need to speak with Sholmes. I'm longing to say hello again, but where is he? I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually. What do you... Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I! The world-famous great detective waxwork, Herlock Sholmes. Let's see. Susato-san! I don't know what just happened. Did she do a Susato takedown? My most humble apologies. I thought I died. Long to eternal paradise for a moment. My London. Pretty bad. Allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality. I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Really a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved. And also, I think Bertrout asked me what is up with me. We did some Bible reading this morning and had some brunch. So, I'm just chilling at the Durin's Folk voice chat and streaming this both to Twitch and to the Discord. Largely solved? We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was an easy proverbial pie. Though, I confess, what verses did I read? Nice to see I'm streaming. Yeah, I took a break. I was really exhausted on the weekends, and then my mouse had to be sent into RMA, and then we got it back, and the scroll wheel is working perfectly now, and I'm really glad. And so what verses did we read? We read today Ezekiel 42 and 43, and I believe Psalms 112, and also Proverbs something. The Proverbs was on like the righteous man versus the person who is like a glutton, I think. Yeah, I think it was that one. I'd have to look it up. And then we also read James 5. And that, if you use exclamation mark 365, I believe you could check out our Bible reading plan. I check out my streamer bot for a second.
Talk to my stream bot. It's bugged out. Oh, might have crashed it. Well, it's okay. We'll close the streamer bot. Let's try relaunching it. Streamer bot. So we had a missing waxwork thing in this case, and so apparently our friend Sherlock Sholmes found it, so that's good. All right, let's see. Voice control. Oh, we don't have it set yet. Sad one. Bible plan. Our Bible reading plan. And then anywhere, stop after, and we have the plan. Is this Bible command? Perhaps. Let's see. Bible command. Yeah. So if I say our Bible reading plan, will it show up? Yeah. It loaded up for me. Thank you. All right. That's what we are reading through. So my guy, Missionary Gamer, has been running that with a bunch of us. And so, yeah, let's read it together. If you want to join him, you have to ask him, but you can always start the plan on your own. It's a pretty useful one. It helps us read through the whole Bible in a year, but it also doubles up the, well, it cyclically goes through Proverbs, I believe. So you'll read the whole Proverbs more than once, probably. Oh, Mr. Sholmes is hungry now. Let's see, how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Oh, well, I do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? Okay. The most modern invention allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as of yet. This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, waxwork was returned. That's amazing. Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event. Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom. Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive. But does that mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary? In fact, I must ask you to keep from Madame Tuspels at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Now then, do I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork? Okay, let's figure out. Enoch Dreber, that's the mysterious engineer and magician who seemed to have defrauded the London exhibition. So, in the process of trying to track somebody down... Oh? Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Dreber. He's a swindler who Professor Harebrained, the engineer who built the kinesis machine. A swindler and an engineer? Quite the modern man. He seems to have a conjurer of sorts too, considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow. But we have so few clues to go on. That's the trouble. Do you have any ideas? I have no idea yet. It's a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least I'd be able to be in a better position to help. I see. Dreber's appearance. Unfortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach.
As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I'd gladly give you my thoughts on it. I guess after we talk about because Kazuma's, we can present him with something. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear mercenary heard it state that piercing stare. What is this about? Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words are very clear, so then let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. You told us that it was murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body. Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today, the victim, Kazuma Asagi. You're quite sure? He was wearing some sort of mask, and apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. Ah, oh dear. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead. Well, I can only assume I was swept up in murderous atmosphere of the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all? Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruto? I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. I don't know what that means. Wont to lie? Will serve you to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. I mean, we know he's kind of lied before, I think. Tomorrow in court, you'll find yourself in the threshold of a great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that's all I can say. Okay, well, we can present stuff, right? Let's present this guy first, right? Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print? It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber, face of the engineer we seek. Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course, so looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you right, Mr. Sholmes? Forgive me. Very interesting, very interesting indeed. What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You turned quite pale all of a sudden. I think he knows him. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruto. Will you indulge me? What is it? As I explained to you when you arrived... let me refresh this. As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it at the exhibit on which it was taken behind those thick curtains. That's your exhibit, isn't it? Would you like to see it? For a mere 5 shillings? That's special one-time only price, you understand? What? The opportunity will come again, I might add. Would you like to see the fruits of my labor? Well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone? The price is very reasonable at 5 shillings. I think you'll find it well worth it. He's trying to get us to bribe him. Are you sure you're being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? Surely you need to look at my expression to discern that this is serious or silliness? I can never tell with you. That's the point. Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings. Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. Ta-da! Alright. Let's open it up. Well, money's been spent, so let's go and see it. Through those heavy curtains at last. I guess we examine? Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped money into his own pocket, does it? No. No, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us using her special skills. Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives, is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention, Those prosecutors making the law into their own hands are chip-loving inspectors. Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think. Alright, let's go in. Let's see. 23rd October. Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. What happened to his head? Yeah, well, this shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here. Mr. Sato, should we turn on our heels and go straight home? Really big confectionery? We certainly can't do that. We paid 5 shillings already. True. Actually, now I'm looking a little more closely. Paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far terrifying than anything else. That must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said largely solved. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there would be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation. Yes, we will get what we paid for. Aside fear and frustration, it's making Sato-san's voice tremble. Right, well... Must be you the killer, a fiend known as the Professor. I think so, according to what Madame Tuspel said. He killed 5 victims, all noble royal blood. The last work's so lifelike, isn't it? Like all models in this place. No, it looks like he could start moving at any moment, wouldn't it? Only get out ahead, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail? I mean, there's a date, there's buttons, his hands, his head. So this is a condemned man, so-called professor. Then perhaps his head was chopped off by guillotine? But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost? Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mr. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. It's metal fitting for it, see? Perhaps Mr. Sholmes absently-minded forgot to reattach it? That's extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it? Perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he returned it to the museum, and it would be an extremely absent-minded thief? Could have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned. Whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? It is a mystery. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. Quite big piece here. Very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than a normal window glazing, I'd say. Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder? I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength. But why? Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as a large building? Well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some glass has broken too. You don't mean exactly the Crystal Tower. That means this was the body double. That's my guess. Makes you think, doesn't it? A piece of broken glass has been entered into the court record. I guess that's it. Early in the court, we established the kinesis machine was a trick, and now we discovered the fragment of glass in the waxwork. Just a coincidence? I think not. And who's this? This part of the exhibit is just as strange as the rest. It looks so real. It seems like a young man in a white overcoat. He's a large shovel in his hand, too. Perhaps we should investigate a little more detail? There's a camera. What's this here? Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera? I can't remember, it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholm's skin prints? These perhaps should treat Mr. Sholm's inventions as exceptions to the rule. Anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard with a camera? I wonder, perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film? Just spoil this for a little while, I think? The camera has been entered into the court record. By looking at the photographic plate in the camera, we could see what picture was taken. Photographic plate. It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's take a look. You should see for yourself. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you?
Okay. He has a monocle.
You can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruto? Put it back exactly as it was. Don't worry.
It's the guy with... He has a monocle.
What on... How can... I don't believe it. A black monocle. Mr. Naruto, is it possible this man is... It's Enoch Drebber. The color of his hair is different, but it's unmistakably him. Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes? This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. That's right. Just who is this man? What is he here? And why does the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head. To the sweet, as the madam would say. I'll be in grave trouble. Very hungry, Iris still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. You know, though, but this room is strange. What do you mean? Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, right? Indeed, they are, Mr. Sato. Do go on. And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are unbelievable, but this one... This just surely could never have happened. Could it? I think it's time I educated you a little about the nature of the incidents involving the professor. Ooh, dun dun dun. The resurrecting convict. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? It took the lives of 5 victims. Everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. They were attacked by an enormous hunting hound, and their throats ripped from their bodies. An enormous hound? How awful. After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended, and it was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand, accordingly. The professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? So you mean the professor's identity? As you surmise, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, and which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Twist. The very night he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as a scrap of the sole witness of these chilling events. It's a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it is none other than the young man in white overcoat, Enoch Drebber. You saw it happened? Ow. So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor had been gibbeted and buried. What's gibbeted even mean?
Gibbeted. Let me look that up. Gibbeted. Gibbeted. Gibbett. It means hung. Okay. Hung, buried, and emerged from his grave in the dead of night. Maybe he took like a drug to slow his heartbeat or something. To appear dead. That's a possibility. So the sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, it would say he was about 20 years old. It's so horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young drummer ran to a nearby police station to report the incidents. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. I guess so. His hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on the front page of every capital. The public was frantic about every last detail about the killer who came back to life. As you'd seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussbell's. I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly, but what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night. Yeah, what was he up to? That's the mystery. The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes in a complete panic 10 years ago. Great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever been systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. I can imagine the impact the case must have had, but in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did the talk of shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale. But why did people stop believing it? Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as established by fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution, but that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society. Nothing had been heard of him since. But it's rather striking then that he would resurface now, don't you think? Whereas the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. Herbert's hair is unusually white. That really did happen overnight as a result of shock. It's hard to believe that the incident was an out-and-out lie. It's very interesting. Ah! Gina, what bleeding Nora, Odo? Odo, what have you done? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris, and she said this was where you'd be, so... Gina! Not so loud in the museum! Madame Tussbell's will have to take position as waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some splash powder left from last 6 months ago, so... Gina, we understand. Please, put down the gun. Sorry, I got scared. You just tried being the one on the other end of the barrel. So what brings you in here, Gina? What brings me in here? What do you think? We found it. We found the Doggy Cove's workshop. We found this person's workshop. The engineer. Yep, Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and others are heading over right now. In a drag, come on. Here's the dress, we got the boss to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. Make our way there at once. Alright then, see you there. Oh. You go, don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there. Oh dear, someone's feeling sorry for himself.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say. If I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have me pay monetary recompense, and Iris' dinner plate would be empty once more. Get that, I'll pay for everything. And there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. You offer to share the costs from Mr. Sholmes, then? I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Herdo. Thanks, Miss Sato. Right, let's go. Wow, we're in the shop. Right, I'm gonna grab a snack real quick from corner of the screen. Ugh. I got some chips. Nom nom nom. We're at Drebber's workshop. Dun dun dun. I have a fork? No, I don't. That looks like that's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. It appears so. Only a prototype, naturally. Oh, so what you got in there? Gina, well done for finding this place. It's such a little time. You really work miracles. It's Toby here who's the miracle worker. Oh, Gregson, is he okay? What happened to his eyes? I thought you lot would show up before long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. Looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of an engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here. What a shame. Well, thanks for letting us know about this place, giving us a chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to that clue you turned up. I wouldn't want to say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unplayed now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, you're helping snoop around here. I get it, Kraken. Lord Zyx and the forensic investigation team are on their way as we speak. Then again, I imagine you got a picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. You're right. So, let's turn up the place upside down. Sounds good to me. They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll. Very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Sure. Oh, let's see what we can find in here. Examine. Oh. Let's start with the kinesis machine. You read. Press autoplay. Looks like we're ignoring the act. Quite hollow. Ooh. Crossbow. Rubbers pulling strings. New evidence. Blade. Oh, well, the model is, yes, but a real airplane would actually fly high in the sky.
Hmm. So to you, the solution is ever taller towers? Hmm. The ladder. Alright. If there's anything else up here. Look at the door. This door doesn't want to open. Have to lock. Okay. You're gonna open that door later. I like to open the lock in a minute. Well, you don't have permission. And no one's giving it to you. Well, there's no sound of anyone on the other side. Hmm. That looks like everything. Well, I think we're done then, I guess. Okay. Hmm. And at this point, we just stop investigating. Court record. Look inside. Okay. Contraptions like this. Yeah, this is very cool. Telescoping. Oh, there's blood! Okay. Look, it's blood. Uh-oh. Looks like blood. I'm not sure what you're thinking. We can probably test the blood later. Something wrong? There's no plate. It's been removed. What a pity. When you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera they used at the time. It's like the waxwork isn't the actual person, so we never found a photographic print on the executed counterfeit coming back to life anyway. You're quite right, of course. Of course it's Opera-san. And how is there blood on this? Maybe it's irrelevant? Almost as thick as wide. It's only Mr. Sholmes has such thick skin. What? Okay. Like a crystal tower glass. This was a broken section. Alright. All about 30 feet. Sheesh, that's really high. Right, is there anything left to look at in here, though? Anything left to examine? Maybe look at the bolts again? You clicked on it before. Some sort of lever. Yep. Cross between a bow and a gun. Alright, used for the same thing too. And then I think we looked at everything on this one too already. Really nothing else to see, is there? Okay, I don't know. Anything left? Did I present anything? There was blood. I'm sorry, yeah, blah 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 blah. I already looked at the top. Scan through the whole room. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing again. Yikes. I don't know. Kind of stuck. Any thoughts? What to click on? He's already opened the door. Do we even have a key or anything? Oh, blood. Nope. Guess they didn't want me to click on that. The lens is a stand. Dark staining is visible on the bellows. We looked at everything though, right? And clicked on that, and clicked on this. And yeah, that's cool. We looked at the blood. One side. We clicked on the blood. Okay. Okay. Oh, I thought we looked at it. Alright. Back massager? What? You hit your shoulders a few times and thought your aches and pains would go away? What? It's Royal Society Trophy for Excellence. Would you like a message? Massage? I'm fine. I had no idea it's such a grand thing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear there's more to this Mr. Enoch Dribber. I couldn't agree more. How about you, Mr. Nero? Would you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. I'm not gonna let that go. Alright. You'd expect such an important trophy to be proudly displayed somewhere, not cast aside. Maybe it's a fake trophy? Okay. What? Oh, has something wrong, Sato? Oh, I thought I heard a noise. From the far side of that door. Well, Gina, do you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease. Open up! Scotland Yard! Clomp, clomp, clomp. Squeak. Clunk. Oh, someone's running away. Someone is in here. Ah, this rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenanced, I can unlock the door in less than a minute. Give the permission. Do it. Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get it through the blasted door. Click. There, command at will. Time is of the essence. Let's go. Nothing for it, suppose. There's an emergency. There's a strong possibility it's the engineer. Be prepared. Whoa, there's a ticking time bomb. What's happening? Why is everything upside down? There's no one here after all. It must be. Only moments ago we heard those noises. It was the sound of Trevor running away. But there's only one door in this room. No windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. So the room rotated. What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling? What did we hear then? Looks like someone's trying to burn something in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. Airbrain's barring machine, is it? Blimey, if you had these, there'd be no need to muck around trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There's something to great interest here, too. This rope is lying on the floor at the foot of the pillar. Never mind. You see, what you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. You must investigate the entire room thoroughly. Alright. That's a really lovely model. It looks just like a real flying balloon. I think it'd probably sting aloft on the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas. It does have hallmarks of that amazing deception. Well, could it be that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? Okay, examining that. There's no denying it here. There are footprints. It appears so. I simply can't imagine how they came to be there. Isn't it a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, you mean? I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruto. That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose.
a large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sholmes would open that lock, although if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. It's bolted to the floor to prevent exactly sort of underhanded trick, Mr. Naruto. You could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside must be very important. Okay. Almost every piece of furniture is upside down. Even Mr. Sholmes' suite isn't ever such a mess. I'm in a position to comment on the mess, Mr. Naruto. I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? It's not messy in here per se, it's that everything's literally upside down. Why? Oh. The elephant in the room. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Mr. Naruto, yes, in the point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of stick cigars wrapped up in a large mat. Mr. Sato, what's the matter? That's a time bomb, isn't it? Did you say a time bomb? I'm sorry, but what is a time bomb, exactly? Truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruto. Don't take that as a compliment. You don't know nothing, do you, Otto? You haven't got a clue what it is. Either have you, Gina. I invite you to consult the dictionary later, Mr. Naruto. But it's a particular specimen. It's no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Thank goodness. Well, what is it? So that's it. Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot almost unfair. I'm fated to never know what it feels like to flounder as you do when the puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective. Here we go, I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Jumper himself. But how could you? Now, the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor here is without question, is completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, must explain everything. It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard's finer points of the trade. But Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. Well, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. Here I dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Miss Sato. Okay. But before we do that, I'm gonna go BRB and I'm gonna have to go to the restroom. So, see you in a bit. BRB.
As always, the gospel means good news. The bad news is that we've all sinned and deserve the wrath to come. And sin is rebelling against God, going against His purpose for us, breaking His law. Jesus, fully God and fully man, came to live a sinless life to take our place, dying for our sins, was buried and raised on the third day according to the scriptures. He ascended into heaven and is now seated at the right hand of God the Father, and no one comes to the Father except through Him. The time is fulfilled and the kingdom of God is at hand. So repent, which means to turn from sin, and trust in what Jesus did for you. The Holy Spirit comes to dwell with us so that we desire the truths in Scripture and have fellowship with God every day. God bless.
Alrighty. Alrighty. Transition. Oh, it's a bit bright right now, apparently. I just turn off my indoor light. There we go. Alright, so kind of stand there, Mrs. Sato. I'd be delighted. Okay. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot. Flipped furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed and table and chairs and the lamp. Everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling. Except this little thing. The Paris thing. Before falling straight down onto the floor. Almost every item in the film was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has last succeeded in creating a small. No, I doubt it. Gravity was reversed and suddenly restored to normality. I think the room is just upside down because it could turn around. How so? I understand your skepticism. I was too incredulous at first, however, my conviction and analysis has cemented that I observed this. An anti-gravity device almost identical to the one in the dream of mine. But why does it have a clock on it? Most relevant question indeed. This is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. That's fantastical, that's for sure. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the room is the moment when the restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here is turned upside down because of the anti-gravity device. We need no look further to explain the state at which we find this room. I don't know about that. The direction in which the gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber. It will be restored to normality in an automatic fashion by sometime later by the timer device. I don't think so. Alright, and then he has topic number 2. Missing engineer. Now, let's consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain this action is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up in the ceiling? The question is to answer will lead nearly to the truth. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because a nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. There's only one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is. By inverted the gravity here, Drebber was able to fall convenient to the ceiling. I feel like the room was rotated and then there's a different door or something. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Drebber have fallen to the ceiling violently? Maybe it just rotated slowly? The man was cornered and nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was the only option. I recall that I found this in the room earlier, so maybe he was holding onto a rope? To reach the intended destination, what better than a rope?
I don't even see where the rope they are talking about is. But he just held onto the rope, rotated the room, and then he's safe. Let's blow up some theories. Alright, Herlock. Let's unravel your mystery. He's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? Let's say with a man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. Your whole deduction hinges on this. But my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I just come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. I have a feeling I read it somewhere and was at the London once. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Schultz. The spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was. Only coils near the wall. But if Mr. Trevor had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find dew ropes. As evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, how skillfully unraveled. Human is as circular as a closed rope. Perhaps we need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure there's some minor corrections we could find the truth, and I agree. Alright, let's do it quickly before Enoch gets away with it. Okay, let's do it. Sherlock Sholmes. Let's see. Flipped furniture, because gravity was reversed. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, the chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room was happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight down. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed, the key here is gravity. It appears that technology has succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of Earth. The gravity will reverse and then suddenly restore to normality. The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth part gravity played in this whole business. I think gravity could have reversed in this situation. That's interesting, but only Sholmes would think of that. But the man himself admitted it was impossible, so let's discount that idea. And then the great detective himself said so. Whatever isn't possible, what's left is the truth. Alright. Yes, so well, let's see if examining this scene closely. First,
Our safe seems in order. Upright vase. There we go. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a perfect bunch of flowers here, that's for sure. Look at that. I know. The slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Oh, somehow it makes us think the fragility of life. To be honest, Mr. Narrator, something else about it made me a rather deeper impression on me. Oh, look, Mr. Sato, and everything seems to be upside down in here. The safe is right side up. Have you noticed? Well, looking more closely at the safe's feet. Ah, that's a lot of very large bolts. Think before you speak. That's what you wanted to say, isn't it? I really put my foot in my mouth there. Totally didn't say that. Uh-huh. And the inverted furniture. All the furniture in here is very conspicuously upside down, certainly. That's immediately pull you in the mind some strange quirk of gravity. Could it be that a mini whirlwind passed through? I'm not sure that's much more plausible, but saying the first thing that comes to mind in your head isn't the way forward, it seems. I think we're just gonna present this thing, maybe?
Take that!
The upright phase clearly reveals the truth, but the part gravity played in this whole business. Oh my word. Surprise. You've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps. No one's trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes, trust me. As you rightly say, though, it appears at first glance all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, as much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let's continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance does not affect an anti-gravity device, remains one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture here, which might sound obvious, but it reveals one mystery much unsolved, namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there's an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything here is not turned upside down is the anti-gravity device? I don't think so. It's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with what, isn't it? I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt someone did this. Someone turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Ooh, there's a safe combo. Look, there's something written on the underside of this. Safe 432582. Alright. Well, let's use it. 432582. 432582. 432582. Well, let's just present this. 432582. and I own it, then I'll play it. And I'll play Jump King. Last year, when I bought a lottery ticket, noted the ticket number down on the inside of cover of a book just in case. That's it, for people are forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of something important. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. But what pray happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came around, I forgot which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it. For the people who are forgetful souls at heart, always forget where they noted things down. How do you always note things in the same place? I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I slipped the ticket into, so I had to turn everything around. Thanks, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I proved my point now. Alright, which is that very similar scenario is clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. Remember that he'd written it on the other side of a piece of furniture but forgotten which one. Leading to the state in which we find the room, right? And Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here. In desperate hurry to look at the combination code. Hey! Alright, escaping the skylight. Alright, now let's consider the next conundrum. Next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim? I do believe the greatest clue was to explain his actions above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up to the ceiling? Questioning those answers will lead us to the truth. Alright, the reason is for footprints is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get up there? I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it. Life was so much simpler in those Halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was a minute ago, and those Halcyon days never existed in the first place. I suppose we could simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations. There's a shoe up here. It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look. And there are more footprints, and this is brilliant. What if a shoe was thrown up there and became washed, do you think? And judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though? Oh dear, they're beyond me, I'm afraid. Well... Well, this is a gas balloon, isn't it? A tiny, but does seem like a real balloon. I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. A green gas balloon. Why does that ring a bell to me? If you can see there's footprints on this balloon too. And surely there's a clue, isn't it? Though what tells it, I'm not sure. Well, we're gonna present this. Right, let's see. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never to highlight the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar. A piece of green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon, that Master Gotts claimed he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was a second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean as to say? If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one we used today, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it.
Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway, but the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile named the shoe. Ah, it was probably Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted, but the shoe itself became prisoner of the lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach inside the destination, the better tool than this rope. Alright. I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and pull it down on the ground. Which is much easier than said to done. Take a very long time as well. True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method, but we already have one, of course, don't we? We have this thing, right? This is this thing?
Take that!
Alright. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing his shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is that? Drebber had hidden inside that balloon. That's his head. A waxwork? Ooh. Waxwork head inside a metal mask. The mask is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock, so you can't see the face inside. Just a moment, this is the head of the waxwork model. Does that mean? Join the dots, Miss Sato. Okay. Excellent. Of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tespel's model is largely solved. It's only the head of the killer that was missing. Indeed, it was, but I believe Madame Tespel now have settled her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. But why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tespel's and returning it, Solon's state, that is Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the Waxwork's adoption, they're linked. That's so weird. Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? And it seems quite possible he escaped through one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must be still in the room. And this location will be abundantly clear if you simply reflect on the journey you made together during this deduction. Somewhere in this room. So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Well, I'm thinking he's hiding in the giant wardrobe. If you need to hide, there's no better place than a wardrobe. I stand firmly by that. Had some experience of that yourself a year ago, didn't you? We find him here, mark my words. He's curled up in the ball, hungry. Alright, let's do it. I mean, their place could be the large safe, right? Look at all that mess in front of the safe. Yeah, also someone's in a hurry to empty the contents of the safe. Let's try presenting this large safe. Before we gained access to the back of the room, we heard noises from in here, which tells us the engineer was still in the building at this point in time.
And he was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, made no attempts to right the furniture he overturned in the process. Most we could do is to search for the combination, but haven't recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. This concludes the deduction. What an interesting turn of events. Deduction complete. So, Mr. Naruto, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? Opening a safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 4, 3, 2, 5, 8, 2. I knew that. Alright then, here he goes. Doop, 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 doop. We got him. See that? You found me. That's creepy. That is ominous. Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume? Correct. You better start talking, you tricked Professor Hairbrain with the bogus machine you built. And you shall explain the theft of the waxwork of Madame Tussbells as well. Plus, I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it almost in a most prominent position. I see. Stunned silence. Are gearing up to die with me then? No! Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare, that's too close for comfort. We got 1 foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to anti-gravity devices is really quite startling, I say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist! Ew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. What on earth happened here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, well, giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Mr. Drebber. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. I was not expecting. When I heard whistling in the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling? That would have been me. For some reason, I woke in a fine fettle today. No words, just these chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which furniture I wrote it down. We also found a rope by the wall. I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short, so I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably though, you had to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe? Having first set this parcel ticket? Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. He is sure creepy. Got a death wish, have ya? Hiding right inside a ticking time bomb?
Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe. It's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. But once you climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. So it is. I'd always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. Just wasn't expecting an uninvited guest to come along and screw up my plans. Do you mean to say you're planning to blow us up? No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. I calculated the time required to retrieve for a safe distance to set the device accordingly. But you seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Something wrong. Hold on, I'm gonna swap something real quick. I'm gonna disable the sound. I think we have a fairly good idea what's been going on in here now, but what about the two incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebraine's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which its head belongs to? That's no ordinary head, you know? That's the head of the professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection. After all, that's enough. What's going on in here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Yes, well, Mr. Dr. Scythe again, so the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well that this engineer is a key witness. Are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot leave at once. My dear madam, there's no need for such threatening tone, I assure you. After all, there's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe? If it's protecting the machine next door, it's causing such a sour expression on your face, you're quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell, you do. Get out! But of course, we'll show ourselves at the door. I'll see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruto. Yep, it would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But, Mr. Sholmes, let's leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I say, get out now, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Scythe seems to be co-conspiring, don't you think? I'm gonna say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place. And the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There's a time bomb set in here, and that disarmed. Okay. Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Trevor? Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? You did disarm that one. What are you? That one? Good. There's one more? Uh-oh. Oh no. Here. And all its secrets blown away forever. Hmm. That is storytelling for you. Alrighty, let's see. Who do we head up to say hello to? I think it's time for a raid. Is Sir Jaziel gonna be live today? I wonder. Let's take a look at our friends across the pond. Let's see. Twitch. See who's live. We have Donnie who's live, who's not really trying to stream. Lord's Warrior is playing Tarkov. The Dan playing Marauders. Sergeant Savage. DJ. Oh, Zelda. I want to raid Zelda. Let's go. Let's give Zelda a mighty welcome. So let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for letting us hang out today and share the gospel, read scripture, pray for each other. Pray for Epitome as he finished up possibly his next sermon, or if he was still in vacation mode, that he have a good rest. And thank you for bringing Beatrice out today as well today, hanging out and chilling. I don't know if he's still around, but appreciate him, and God, would you continue to work in his heart to continue to serve you well. I know that he's probably still finding church, and if he already found a church, then God, would you continue to work in him to be fully invested in the right way so that it's healthy and that he is able to grow spiritually well with them too. And I just pray for all of us that we're able to be part of a solid local church that is able to help us be the best we could be, as well as help others to share this amazing gift of grace in the gospel to all people. And so you go off to bless Zelda. I pray that we can give her some encouragement and to continue to just glorify you throughout whatever we do this weekend. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so we're going to go exclamation mark raid. And
As always, the gospel means good news. The bad news was that we've all sinned and deserve the wrath to come. And sin is rebelling against God, going against his purpose for us, breaking his law. Jesus, fully God and fully man, came to live a sinless life to take our place, dying for our sins, was buried and raised on the third day according to the scriptures. He ascended into heaven and is now seated at the right hand of God the Father, and no one comes to the Father except through him. The time is fulfilled and the kingdom of God is at hand. So repent, which means to turn from sin, and trust in what Jesus did for you. The Holy Spirit comes to dwell with us so that we desire the truths in Scripture and have fellowship with God every day. God bless.